another episode of Mr. Badger Talks to Utter Scum, and I'm here with a new guest to the series, the wonderful actor from Smokey and the Bandit, Burt Reynolds. How are you, Burt?
I don't go by Burt anymore, Donald. I think you'll find your dead name in me already.
Who the fuck's Donald?
Sorry, Mr. Badger.
Oh, I've never heard of this. Whoever's listening, I've never heard of this Donald fella.
Oh, I've got to look already.
So you're not the star of Smokey and the Bandit. Then.
No, I'm dead naming as well now. We're both.
What's dead naming? Is that like what you do at funerals and that when you can't remember, like John Doe, that sort of shit?
100%, yeah. It could also be applied for someone that is transitioning, i.e. me, but you can't dead name me because I'm still going by what will be my future dead name.
What's transitioning?
What's what?
What's transitioning?
Oh, is that transitioning? Is that
what? What's that?
What's what? Hold on. So transitioning is switching genders.
Switching what? What the fuck's what's a gender?
So
oh no, people have said to me that I've got a bit of an agenda. So is that what you've got?
Yeah, not a political one.
No, mine's not political. Mine's sexual.
Oh, okay, fine. But yeah, God, I didn't know how simplistic you were going to go with this. Okay, so it is from I'm moving from man to woman.
I've done that before at special parties, you know. Keys in a bowl.
Yeah, just instead of bed hopping, you stick to the one bed. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a big bed and it's got loads of men and women on, and you're getting your wick wet. Yeah.
Yeah, basically when you jump into the other bed, you're stuck in that bed. You're not moving out.
Ah, okay. Well, I am glad that I've got to, because you do look like a very attractive lady there, Burt. I'm glad I got a woman on, because I was confused when I saw that Burt Reynolds was coming on to talk about flans. So now we're talking about flans. What is your experience in the baked pastry industry?
I mean, I also have the ability of being a terrible adult in general, so any baked goods is not my thing.
Why are you coming here to talk about flans then?
Well, people want to focus on the transgender issue too much, so I thought I'd flip it into the baked goods category.
Like a pancake!
Yeah, exactly. But we can talk about flans as well as trans. We can mix it up. We can make a fusion. Yeah.
Trans flans.
Exactly.
Well, I'm confused. I'm guessing from what's going on here. You're not Burt Reynolds, and you're not here to talk about flans.
No, Bert is who I was in my child years. But no, we're currently Josh, and we're talking about going through a transition in gender, not agenda,
right.
And from male to female.
Hang on, so you're a man?
I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, I went to my hospital today, and they again asked the question, just to confirm, what side are you transitioning from? as if to not, as if they didn't want to cause any problems, but at the same time, it is the worst question when someone doesn't know.
Yeah, well, so this old trans thing then that you're going through at the moment, the hospital are quite being lovely to you, going like, well, we don't know, you could be. Actually, I do remember going to the hospital for an operation, and they did ask me if I was pregnant at that moment in time, and I thought, well, there's a hint, there's a fucking hint, but
they've got to tick all the boxes. That's it. That's covering it off. So yeah, it was slightly soul destroying, but also 10% funny as well.
So trans. So technically a man at the moment, but you're having your bits sort of snipped off and that.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's not booked in yet. It's not booked in yet. But yeah, probably. Yeah, it's one that you've got to go through so many different steps first.
Well, I've got questions about it, because number one is like, you've got to be fairly confident that this is what you want, isn't it? So have you always known that you were trans?
Oh, well, I'm about 50-50 right now. No, but no, we're no, it's good to roll the dice, isn't it? But no, I think you always know there was something there. But within education, in a little bit of understanding of what the options are. I didn't know trans was a thing when I was a kid.
No,
you just think you're a bit of I wouldn't use the word deviant. That would get me cancelled.
But I think back even to I know they were doing operations in the 70s and stuff, but I think even in the 80s and 90s it was called perverse, wasn't it? You were a pervert even if you were just like, say, gay, anything other than straight, and you stick to your lane, you're a pervert.
Yeah, that's how I was made to kind of feel about it. When I kind of registered it more so in my teens, but even when I was younger, living in a very white middle class village, we had one gay, and that one gay man got so much shit. He must have got a lot of dick as well, but he got so much shit. And it was just like,
I suppose you would get shit on your dick if you were gay. So yes.
Two birds, one stone, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was as one openly gay man in a village. You would have been getting a lot of closeted cock. But then at the same time, you associate anything with that, and you kind of associated the need to wear with women's clothing with that gay category as well. Even though it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. You just think yourself as a bit of a wrong-un for a while.
Well, that's another thing I suppose you could go to. So as a man who's transitioning into a woman, are you gay, straight, bisexual? What will you be when you transition? What's going on? What's going on, Josh?
I mean, fit's fit, right? It is my way of saying I'm pansexual, but not on personality.
What pansexual?
Pansexual is meant to be, I think, you're attracted to personality, so it covers all genders. But I'm a shallow pansexual, as in I fancy any gender as long as I think they're fit as fuck.
I'm like that. I don't care if they're male or female, as long as the mums and dads never find out,
And they've got a pulse, yeah? Yeah. That's like, a nice to have.
Sometimes they start off with a pulse, but by the time I've finished with them, I have to get me shovel out.
Yeah, there's a bonus.
And at least the graves aren't that big, are they? For the ones that I do. It's some of them you can fit in a shoebox. It's all right. It's like burying a cat. And I've done them as well. Am I pansexual?
Yeah, I guess pansexual wouldn't restrict you to pets. That's your definition of it. Yeah.
Well, I know it's quite easy for you to laugh with it about me, but I take it, have you broached this subject with like family and friends and that?
Well, this would be a bad time to bring my cat, wouldn't it? She's just behind me. Well, cat/lover. No, then, come on, say hello. Hello, this is the shoebox. Yeah, as you can see with the panic. Yeah.
For the people listening, Josh has just got his pussy out on camera.
Yeah, and also future cardboard box holder.
Well, say that. Have you talked to your family and your friends and loved ones about your transition?
Yeah, otherwise I'll just send them this link and play the worlds. But no, largely, like obviously since last year, it's kind of been a lot of kind of individual conversations and stuff like that. My people find out different paces. Like my dad, I told him only a couple of months ago, and at the time, there was a potential. I think I can say this. There was a potential TV appearance on the cards. You'll know what this would have been. The one where you can get at this level onto the telly. And that didn't go through in the end. But there was a genuine possibility of my grandparents finding out through a certain famous TV broadcaster, which would have been a hell of a story.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Have you heard of iPhone?
I have, yeah. Well, have they all been accepting of the idea? You've had no issues or anything?
I think in general, yes. I think a lot of it is tolerance rather than acceptance.
Yeah.
And that's from like certain family members. Like most of them are full on accepting, but the ones where we've had challenges, you can kind of see it, and they'll say the right things to you. But you can tell in the facial expressions, and you can tell in the shortness of the language and how little interest they actually are in it. Where it's like, oh, okay.
I might be projecting here, but is it mainly the men that have trouble with the situation?
No.
Oh.
No, I think it's age.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think age is the big one. So you're talking the grandparent era. That's proving to be a little more difficult. But you kind of realize that is a harder conversation to have.
Oh, just slip your granddad some brandy and knock him off. You'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I've got my cat for that. But
sharp teeth. You don't want a cat sucking you off. It's no good.
I thought you said you were pansexual, Donald.
At the moment,
sorry, Badger.
I'm going to have to do a lot of bleeping on this.
He'll make me look like I'm saying something explicit instead.
Some more questions I suppose you should go on to is how long does all this take? And do you have to go private? Is it NHS? Does it cost a lot of money? Or?
Yeah, I have no idea how long it's going to take. So I've got no target with the name change at all. Yeah. But the name change changes over when I feel like I'm like my idealized self, or closer to it. So yeah, that's part of it. Some people it takes like a few years. Some people are very lucky and they have very nice petite frames and they can kind of slot into it very quickly. But yeah, with me starting in my 30s, I've got a lot of nature and mistakes, and like damage to my body that I'm trying to reverse. So yeah, it's going to take a while, I think.
I damaged my body, but that's due to the BBC initiation process with me old mate Gary Glitter.
Yes, yeah. And the nails to the dick don't help a lot either, do they, mate?
No, all up my shit box. It was horrible.
Yeah, I mean that you'll be glad to know that's not the procedure for getting rid of the willy these days.
But I wouldn't think you'd stick nails up your arsehole and your knob would drop off. I mean, I don't think if someone says to do that, they're probably not a doctor. Well, it might be an NHS one. We don't know.
Yeah, can we name drop it? No, I'm not going to name drop it. Henry Michael special, bleep that out.
I'm not bleeping that, I'm staying in. Henry, you're a terrible doctor. For anybody listening, Henry Michael is a very, very good comedian and also a practice. Is he a GP or does he work in an hospital? I can't remember.
His jokes say he's a GP, but I think he works in the hospital.
That's it, yeah.
Liar.
Yeah. So, other than your friendship with Henry Michael, what else have you lost since you became trans?
This is going to sound really trivial because I haven't lost a lot in that time frame, but I used to go watch my local football team every week since I was about 12. I'm not welcome there anymore. That's a weird one. But
is it not welcomed by the club or by the fans?
By the people that I used to go with.
By your own friends?
Yep.
Jesus.
So you lose friendships for sure.
Fucking hell.
You're not one of the lads anymore, which is technically correct. But we could change the terminology.
I bet you they'd still fucking smash you after a couple of beers, though.
If I was wearing a wig, maybe. But yeah, in 5 months, I'll have had all of their cocks. But that's my way of getting back at him. But yeah, it's that's a thing. But also, if you look at it institutionally as a club, while they will not directly come to me because they're smart enough to know that that's a hate crime and hate crimes are bad, they will have. I've seen them slagging off a trans member of staff before, who was female to male, and they couldn't get the concept around the time that she was trans and not just a lesbian. So they were, horrible to her. And they make the Yorkshire Cricket Board look like Black Lives Matter. Like they really do. So that's just old school football, and it is not a good place for me to be at the moment.
Well, I suppose that brings us on to another question. Not about yourself, but about the trans issue in general, which is trans people in sport. So I know there's a lot of furore about trans athletes and things like that. So I'm not going to talk about whether they should be doing it. Do you think there would be a lot of backlash because of the old mentality?
What, as in with people participating in it?
As in, yeah. Do you think, say, let's say Manchester United signed a trans player? Do you think there'd be a lot of fans that would be very, very unhappy and wouldn't turn up to games?
I mean, those season ticket card points, mate. They cost a lot, and I think they'll stick with it. But I think you'd have a lot of booing. You'd get a lot of abuse. If we look at where trans movement is versus the gay movement, it's probably closer to the 90s at the moment, or like the 80s. So if you look at, was it Fashnu, the player who came out in the 90s, and the amount of abuse he got?
And he ended up committing suicide, didn't he?
Yeah, and we've not had anyone in the Premier League yet.
No.
So, one, I think the gay thing might be all right now, to be fair. But I think trans would be a bigger shitstorm than even if they were playing in the male game.
Yeah.
So if I was to transition but turn up for Luton Town or something like that, I think that would be a bigger shitstorm. Yeah.
Bloody hell! Well, so again, I know that there are biological differences, but even if you were a trans woman playing in a male league, there would still be people that couldn't stand the idea.
100%. Yeah. Have you not read Facebook or anything?
I'm not allowed on the internet. The police restrict my activity.
Ah, yes, because we're speaking here through bat signal.
Yes. Well, that was quite sad. It's quite sad to learn what you've lost. Especially, I can't believe Friends would turn their back on you. You think Friends would be the people that support you the most. So what would you say you've gained since you've become trans?
Oh, well, no, we haven't gained any tits yet. But I would say
a lot of jars have come, mainly from the people you used to go to football with.
Yeah, I mean, everyone keeps a collection, right? But yeah, it's I would say more authentic friendships to replace the old ones. I think while the old ones had conditions attached to them, you kind of realize that by being a truer, oh God, this is going to sound all way too washy for this podcast, but I think by being closer to your true self, you meet people and make friends that are actually better for you in the long run.
I do that on playgrounds,
Yes, thank you for adding the disgusting tag onto it, because otherwise this would have been too nice. So yeah.
There's a Frank Skinner joke that I love, where he said a paedophile meets up with another paedophile because he just moved to the area. He says, "Hey mate," he says, "where's the best place to find little kids and that?" He goes, "Oh, swings and roundabouts, really."
Yeah. It reminds me of a few Phil Carr jokes, that one. But yeah, it's weird, like, because you're chiming in with the paedophile jokes, and that's really great, because when I'm talking about something really personal, it's very hard for me to then switch and go nonce, like, so
yeah. I should point out that I am not linking trans people with paedophilia.
No, I'm not. I don't know, but as in you're coming in with the dirty joke, which is great, because I feel like I'm doing a 30-second monologue of being sad without a punchline on the end of it, which, to be fair, is a lot of my stand-up comedy.
I was going to say, it's we're not after your best 10 minutes here, Josh.
Yes, but yeah, it's the Hannah Gadsby. But yeah, I'm thankful that you're adding in the punchlines here.
Yeah. But I suppose one of the things we've already talked about how people treat you differently, but I don't know, your friends, that's very much shocked me. But would you say that children treat you differently, but not in a nasty way? Do you think that they don't? They've never seen this before, so it's not offensive to them. It's just something new.
Yeah, I've had it a few times where, like, I don't know, you'll just have a kid really curious, like, kind of pointing at the nails or something like that, and that kind of being a sort of key focal point. And bless them, the parents are just like almost scared of creating some sort of like Twitter cancellation sort of thing. So they kind of like stop their child from doing it, and instead, you just try and you want to make sure that the child's not like scarred by it, but you also you need to find a balance, because there's accusations of trans people being nonces. So it's kind of like, where do you draw the line of being friendly and interesting to the child, so you're not punishing their curiosity, but then it's kind of like, okay,
don't lift your skirt up and go, "Hey mate, it's all right, I've still got one, it's all..." You can have a tickle, it works.
So it is a constant balancing line between welcoming the curiosity and also being like, if this goes on for too long, the parent will at some point think the paedophile stereotype. So it's a fun balancing game.
Don't balance children on. No, we're not going to go down that route. We're going to switch. Actually, one that
switch children to cats. There we go. We'll do that again.
So, because you pretty much only just started on your trans journey, really, aren't you? So, I suppose up to this point, then, where you're getting comfortable with the idea of being trans, is there anything you'd have done different so far?
One, knowing earlier. Obviously, like that. Yeah. That's the one thing I'd love to have done this 10 years ago. Yeah. Obviously the body and stuff like that, but I was in a long-term relationship for 7 of the last 8 years, 9-10 years, where I feel like I wasted someone's time, a little bit, had I been a better communicator and understood everything. So
was that broached, because it was a lady, wasn't it, you were with?
Yeah, it was a lady.
Was that broached with her, as in like, look, I want to transition. There's a chance I'm not going to even chop me bits off. I'm just going to stay as I am. Would you be all right?
No, we both hated each other after COVID, is the truth. Like any other relationship. But it stopped me thinking about the transition, because, as you'll know, Badger, I was going by cross-dresser transvestite for a while, because that's where I thought I was. And then, lo and behold, I have a year to myself where I can think about myself rather than someone else. And voila, that open goal was like, well, obviously, there you go.
The open goal was an open hole.
Exactly. There had not been any holes open since starting transitioning, I'll tell you that.
I'm wondering how traumatized your ex was, though. Where I know you get people where they go like, "Oh my god, I got with this fella and I think I turned him gay." When you go like, "I got with this lad, I spent 7 years with him and I traumatized him that much." He's going to cut his dick off.
Well, thank God the BBC thing didn't happen. Can you imagine that?
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like part of me will feel really guilty if I become successful. But like, it was Skater Boy and the Avril Lavigne song. When he's then on the TV rocking on the guitar and stuff, and you just watch it, I'm like, oh, I can see it with her already.
So, with that in mind, how far through the transitioning process are you? Like, what is there left? Because I understand it now. Well, in most people's heads, to be trans, especially male to female, you've got to have your bits cut off. You've got to have fake boobs whacked on and all that sort of stuff. But that's not the case, is it? You don't have to have all that stuff. You can be physically male, but a trans female.
Oh, yeah. So the time that I decide to say that I'm a trans woman isn't when the old meat and veg is off. It's more when I feel comfortable with it. So when people don't see man as the predominant thing anymore.
I must say, your physicality, because we've gigged together quite a bit over the last few years. Your physicality, you've gone from very, I wouldn't say machismo. You weren't very overly masculine, but now things like as you're doing now, touching your hair, you've got very feminine poise to yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's coming. But at the same
so am I.
I knew that was coming, but the problem was that I was gonna cough, and then I'd have to explain that I still do the very masculine thing of smoke 20 a day.
That's not masculine. Have you never met a woman from Manchester? Like, fucking 20 a minute.
Manchester's falafel eaters now, mate. They're Manchester's all hipster.
You can't call them falafel eaters. They're called lesbians.
Okay, fine. It's gentrified hipster city now, Manchester. There's no smoking over there.
I've noticed I know vaping came in, didn't it? But smoking is still a thing. I've noticed with the youth nowadays, not the youth that I'm into, but the youth that maybe you hang around with, mate, they don't drink now. It's weird.
No, I don't drink. But then at the same time, I smoke 20 a day. So thank God I'm cutting something out to compensate for that.
I take you did drink at one point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I drank too much. so I had to stop. Fun times. Just, there's only so many times where you hear absolute horror stories, which we are not getting into tonight.
No.
I will exploit that in a future comedy show. Once we've moved on from the trans thing, the second Edinburgh show will be
the day my uncle fingered my bumhole.
This is my struggle with alcohol and the bumhole. We've got to spread the trauma out.
I've never struggled with the bumhole. It's I just have a big pack of Vitalite and that greases it up fine.
Oh, I mean, here you go. This might not be the insight you're expecting with regards to trans, but, there is an introduction to anal sex, which you might not have had a lot of before. My God, there's a lot of prep and training for that. You've got to, eat well. Too many times I think I'm going to be meeting up with someone, and then I crave and I cave and go for a massive KFC the night before. And it's like, well, that's not happening anymore. Sorry.
It's fine. It'll just come out a little bit crispy. It's all right.
Well,
as long as you don't have a Zinger burger. That's the... Don't have anything too spicy if you're planning on having anal sex. And again, it depends how you eat it. If you're shoving the chicken up your bottom, then there's definitely a problem.
Yeah, I've got too much of a penchant for chili and jalapenos to really enjoy anal. That's my problem.
Well, I'd have thought it'd be quite fitting if you like to do jalapenos.
No, it just
jalapenos. Look, that should be your title of your show. Just you on a big chili and it says, I used to have jalapenos.
I used to have a jalapeno. Yeah. There's something in that. I mean, I certainly prefer to, instead of doing wordplay suggesting penis, I much prefer to have mysterious words to make me sound deep. That's more my style.
What mysterious words have you got to make you sound deep there? And we're not talking deep. We've just talked about anal. We're not talking about deep in that sense. We're talking
So, for example, I've got my first show in Nottingham in November, cheeky bloke, but we've called that ticking boxes because it's broad and it makes you think, and it's all... well, that's what the Edinburghs love, isn't it? They don't want jalapenos.
I don't know. I genuinely think you'd probably get a lot of people turning up if you're like, look, I'm having a fucking laugh. Come on, get on board, Jesus Christ.
I know, but you need the 5 people with the beard strokies to like it.
It's true. You need to have that absolute. What was his name? The fucking bellend from Chortle. You need to have him on board, don't you? He goes, it wasn't very funny, but it did make me think. 5 stars.
I have no idea who you're on about.
No, I think he's called Steve Bennett. He's an absolute fucking tool.
And it's the first I've ever heard that name.
Of course it is. Yeah. And I tell you what, this generally didn't happen. This never happened at all. I definitely did not do a solo show at the Birmingham Comedy Festival to a sold-out room where he was reviewing the act that was on before me, and he definitely did not give that act a 4-star review and completely ignore mine. I think he was there just to go sort of like, this is going to be a fucking car crash, this is going to be brilliant, and just didn't even review it.
No, because it wasn't what he wanted.
No. He says he's all progressive in that, and he's all inclusive. Why doesn't he include paedophile badges?
I mean, it is a long forgotten subculture.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a fucking minority, I'm a minority. I tell you now.
I mean, you're black and white.
There is that.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm sort of all brown down there. It's all gone weird. There's green bits.
You're an assortment of all the colours. I mean, you are technically the dirty rainbow, aren't you?
I should call me show the dirty rainbow. Let's take the kids down the dirty rainbow.
Well, yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, let's carry on with this lovely, cheerful momentum there, Josh.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at some facts here, and it says that, quite sadly, we really shouldn't laugh here. The suicide rate. Fucking hell, let's pull ourselves together. Let's not.
I knew where you were going with this. This is why. Sorry.
So the suicide rate in the trans community is extremely high, isn't it? So do you suffer with dark thoughts now, or was it? Have you had any previously? Do you feel better now?
Yeah, I mean, the dark thoughts I've got at the moment are to not laugh. But yeah, the truth is, like, I have had the old demons with it. We've had the issues. But I can genuinely say that since I've come out as trans, like properly, that has been so much easier. That has alleviated so quickly. It was scary how all of a sudden it just disappeared. So it was kind of a gamble for me, where I was kind of like, well, I'm feeling suicidal, so I need to probably go through with this now, and with the thought, because when you're processing everything, and worst case scenario, if I'm still feeling like that, that's still an option. You know, that was kind of how I thought about it. And
if you're going to cut one thing first, do your penis, then your neck.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got to go gradual, haven't you? You can't rush into things. Yeah.
No. It'd be really shit if you slashed your wrists and just as you're passing away, you go, I should have done my balls.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, right? Because I don't know if this is like how the country has changed with regards to, you know, people speaking more about mental health and that. But typically over like the last year, I've had a lot more people like reaching out, you know, and like sort of checking in, going, "Are you okay?" And at first I was like, "Oh, is it this trend? Or is it now, because I'm trans, I am technically considered a flight risk?" And it's just like, you know, so that's a weird thing, but it's still very nice that people do.
Although it does sicken me when you get the ones that are like, if anybody wants to talk, I'm always available.
No, those people that post it on Facebook, you know, is like giving a $5 to a homeless man when you're videoing it. You know, that's the same. But no, these are genuine, not fucking idiots who are messaging me, like, you know, just out of, you know, good intentions to just check in.
Are you sure these aren't lads that have sort of like just seen that you're single now and gone like, do you know what? I'm struggling on Tinder. I reckon Josh will have a go. Like, hiya, babes. Hiya, babes. You're feeling okay? If you need a chat and you need a cuddle, I'm available.
There's one who would defo smash after he's had a pint, but the rest, like, you know, the rest, I believe, are well intentioned. It's interesting from that side, but like we are so much better than where we were. And one of the, without turning it dark again, like I spoke to a therapist about it, and she was kind of like, "What is your?" And this will be very common for anyone that's gone through suicidal thoughts before. Is what is your North Star that stops you from killing yourself? And it's really like, because a lot of people
have knives.
What's that?
Blood knives.
Blood knives.
I've only got butter knives. I did try, and I just gave myself a nasty Chinese burn.
Yeah, I mean, you could joke and like give some like weird celebrity like Mel C or something, but mine is genuinely that it's about Chloe living. So it's kind of.
We should say that Chloe is your intended name, isn't it? Wouldn't you? Yeah.
Chloe's the name we're moving into.
Because otherwise, that just sounds really creepy. Like, I'm not going to kill myself while Chloe's still alive.
Yes.
If she ever escapes from that basement, that's when I'm going to fucking top myself.
And then you hear the noise in the attic. Name change is so weird, though, isn't it? Like, it's funny, but it's weird. Like,
I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of legal stuff to go on, because it's not just like your driving license and that. It's fucking everything, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're already like making our way through email accounts and stuff like that. But it's really interesting because like there's some accounts that you'd go, these aren't important at all, but changing the name on them is like me trying to change my name on Uber is like more complicated than changing my driving license.
And you don't want to lose that rating, do you?
No, I've earned that 5 stars. You know, I've left a lot of happy Uber drivers.
Why would that be, Josh?
You know, you don't want to get charged a premium for.
I was going to say, are these fake taxi drivers? I don't have any money.
Oh, maybe. Well, hold on. I was going to say, the Uber driver thing, you can't get a discount on them, can you? So there'd be no incentive to suck them off.
If anything, I have to pay them extra.
You'd have to go old school if you want a free taxi ride these days. You know, the general cabs without the tracking system.
Yeah. Well, where I am, this 100% joke. Where I am, you can't get a fucking taxi, literally, for love nor money. It's fucking bizarre. But you're in a fairly nice area. Well, I say nice, but it's you live in Stoke, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise known as Mordor, isn't it?
Well,
But
believe it or not, I live in a place called Oswald Street, and I'm not even shitting you. The next village is called Mordor.
oh, okay, fine.
So
But yeah,
I think we've
we've
got
got
that
all of
claim.
your orcs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Right. Well, let's take it away from the suicidal thoughts, and again onto another equally horrifying thing. Is so if you do decide to go through the operation and everything, is this something that plays on your mind? Would it be something that worries you, or do you just see it as like an operation that just needs doing, like a knee op or something?
Yeah, I mean, by that point, we'll be ready to say goodbye. It'll be, yeah, it's interesting. I don't think I'm going to need a minute with it afterwards to say goodbye.
Are you not going
Uh,
to put it into like a little necklace?
oh, do you remember that time when we got nervous and we couldn't perform together? Oh, what good times we had.
Well, from what I understand, anyway, that you don't keep it, do you? It becomes part of. It gets used in the process, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's no physical penis that can be attached to like a trans man or something. There's no like organ exchange.
No, that's it. Oh, that would be a good one though. You just got a catalogue, you just picking them out a bit, going, "I'll have
Oh yeah.
Dave's." Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's I am very unsure of the whole process when it comes to like boob surgery, for example. And I was like, well, surely, like, I would get an Argos catalog, right? And I'd be like, I want them in this size and this shape and stuff. But no, apparently, you just pay whoever you want, and then they say, well, we just do with it what we can. And it's like, well, that's not.
I was going to say, fucking hell.
Yeah, that's a blind bet, isn't it?
Well, that's the one thing I will say. This breaking the fourth wall here, but back in the person behind the mask, back in my teenage years, I was friends with a female to male trans person, and when she finally became a he, that his penis was well beyond. It wasn't fair, You'd be next to him at the urinal, going, "Come on, mate, you're 5'2". You don't fucking need that. It's disgusting."
It's yeah, I mean, you're not gonna give yourself a little one, are you? Like,
Well, I don't think he had the choice. I think he just had a fucking pervert for a doctor. I think they were like, "You want 9.5 inches?" And the best it was
weird,
black. It was weird.
See if it was black. I imagine there was like some doctor almost playing God, like like giving you personality scores and just going, "Oh well, I think you're a cunt, so you can have a 2-inch." Like, oh, that guy's sound. Give him 10.
Yeah. We've just reused your clit. That's all we've done. Bang.
Fucking hell, right?
So, on that basis, then, with your journey so far, what is the funniest thing that's happened?
I lost my tits at a venue once. That was pretty bad.
And you don't mean you lost your temper. This is your physical tits.
Yeah. So like you have little implants. They're like little chicken fillets, but they have nipples, so they're quite obviously like breasts. Yeah. And it was a really hot day, and I don't know if it was just a hot day or whether it was in this small brief period where I used to throw tits at audience members if they weren't like laughing in the right way. So if I didn't think they were appreciating my genius, I would throw a boob at them. And yeah, I forgot to collect the boob one time. And I got a message from the venue manager the next day just with the photo going, "Are these your tits?" And part of me really wanted to reply back and say no, but they're 50 quid a pop, aren't they? So you gotta you had to balance out the joke and the logistics of paying for another pair.
That's what we've talked about price previously, but yeah, there is a lot of expensive stuff in there. But what I would say is, I have noticed that female fashion is a lot cheaper than men's. So are you glad that you're taking advantage of that?
No, because you make loads of mistakes. So that's the one thing. So you end up buying loads of items, and there's so much variance with fit. Like if like as a guy, you would pick one t-shirt, and you know that if it has the M medium size on it, you know it's going to fit. With the ladies' clothing, like it is so variable. Like it is a massive like you've really got to learn what suits you and what. So I've now like gone from when I was a cross-dresser transvestite to wearing the sexiest stuff I could to almost turning into like an androgynous indie boy band member through basically just picking out safe clothes that I know suit me and don't make me stand out anymore.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
but
then, is that again? It's because I know it sounds mad. I suppose when you're trying to push yourself, as in like, oh, look, I am a woman. You want to appear what the idea of what you think feminine is, and then once you become more comfortable, you go. Most women don't dress like this. Most women just dress fucking normally.
I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had a porn star body, I would be full on like little slag. Like, do you know what I mean? I would be but you know, you also don't want to stand out is the other thing, you know. The coincidence has been that the last time I went out in a dress was the first time I got like properly followed by men giving me abuse. So it's kind of so you've kind of got to go, well, if I blend in and I'm a bit, you know, more subtle, then there's that side of it as well. So there's loads of things you got to think about. But weirdly enough, it doesn't cost me that much because I go to car boot sales a lot, which makes me sound really like cheap. But when you don't know what your style is yet, it's so much better to just go around and like buy everything for 50p, and then throw all the crap out and then just keep the things you like. Yeah.
No, I quite like the idea. That it's quite nice. But we broached just quickly there on men following you, but for the wrong reasons. Have you got back into the dating game, whether male or female, since then? And if so, what's your experiences been like?
So that one was funny, right? Because I was out, like, well, funny at first, but we're outside a music venue, me and a couple of friends. We've been like, you know, and basically these two crackheads walk around the corner and they see the back of me and they're like hitting on me. They're hitting on me from behind and they can't see the face. So I literally turn around and do the "you right, mate?" like that to him, just like thinking like I didn't know they were, you know, so high on drugs, so I thought they'd be quite funny, but instead they took massive offense to it, and basically just kept following me, and I had to like be walked home by friends. But yeah, dating we've not really bothered with, to be honest. I get all sorts of offers for sex, like tons. There's a massive fetishization of trans people. There's so many closeted men that want to have their dick in a dress. They fucking love it. So there's never a shortage of that if I want it. But it's the actual idea of dating is just not really feasible. Because while we're going more feminine, we've got to accept that it's a work in progress. Like, would you buy a house that's still under construction? Like,
wouldn't that class you as quite rudely a doer-upper?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I got it cheap, but give it 6 months. Fucking hell, yeah, be banging.
I mean, you will be the first occupant. Like that's one plus of it, but. You know, there is an element of, okay, I kind of know how it's going to go, but I need to see it with my own eyes first. It's like investing in crypto, isn't it? Like,
I just got this weird thing, a show called Minges Under the Hammer, and it's someone that gets you really cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to spend $2,000 on her. And then she's going, what have you spent so far? I've spent 14 grand and she still ain't got tits. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time, right? Advertising to any munter that really wants someone that's gonna like elevate through up a few levels in a couple of years, because the hormones, the tits will come. I'm gonna go up like 30, 40, 50% in 5 years in femininity appearance. So that's a good Bitcoin investment, isn't it? So if you're not got great self-esteem, go for me now, and you'll see a real rich return on that, because I'm loyal. So
I love the fact that you're going, if you've got poor self-esteem, why not just settle for me?
yeah, and I will grow.
Yeah, oh dear. Well, I notice you're saying we a lot. I'm probably misgendering you and all sorts. Does that upset you?
I know. I just do that a lot. Everyone keeps saying, "Why are you saying we?" And I think it's just because now I'm in a weird position where there is two names being used.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, so it is kind of going in like, I wouldn't say half and half. It's probably like 20% people use the name Chloe, and then 80%, still use Josh, because that is the one that I predominantly still want to use. But for example, you saw in a comedy poster the other day that someone just accidentally put Chloe because they thought that was the right thing to do. So it's I think the more it becomes that, the more weirder I start talking about myself in the third person. It's horrendous, and in plural. Call me big J. Right. That's got to be blanked. That's got to be blanked.
When you're saying about feeling comfortable, this is 100% gender. The only thing that signifies to me now that you are male is your voice. Is there a way to change that, or does that happen sort of like? Do you have to put an effort in to do that?
Going down to 19 cigarettes might help, mightn't it? So it's weird, right? Because I can, in about a minute, just through little bits in my voice, and we could probably have a conversation for about 10 minutes and sounding a little bit more feminine than what I've been sounding for like the past hour. And that's largely because I'm not used to the rhythms in which I would talk to someone at a more human level, right? So it does make me sound like a dumb American.
There's no need for the word dumb there.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, that's a given, right? But and I can go a little bit like this, which will be accepted a bit more as a female voice. But it's not perfect yet. And for one, with comedy, you'll know this, that you get used to the beat that you're talking at and the inflection. I am miles off the ability to be able to do my set in my voice, which is the more feminine version. So it just requires a lot of conscious effort and kind of remembering as well. And almost used to go, oh, Josh has sounded very manly again, and then I'll slip back into this. But yeah, comedy is like, I'm going to have a manly voice doing comedy for a while because it's really challenging.
Yeah, well, I've got no experience of this, but people do tell me that if you have to put on a fake voice, it is quite tricky.
Yeah, it's
again, I've no experience of doing that, Josh.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there we go. I got the irony there. But it's just like I've just got so used to saying the same joke. Like, I mean, I have mixed my set up, but I just have got used gradually to kind of saying things a certain way, and it's just so hard to deliver it in a sort of higher pitch. So it'll come. But
right, we're gonna go serious again now. Serious, Josh. Serious answers now. So, safe spaces for women. Now, I do understand that some women are going to feel unsafe because I think there are probably still some people out there that aren't trans but will use it as an excuse to get into women's spaces. But if it was a case of, women and men should be separated, why are there no men out there complaining about women in their safe space?
because men, we are, well, I say we, but because men are pigs. God, imagine that's why. Men are pigs. No, but like, it's weird, right? Because I think the large example that people see when we talk about these men that aren't trans who are invading public spaces or women's spaces, I would argue that they're probably trans, but they are also fucking nonces or whatever. And you get that couple of instances, right?
I think that is the main problem, isn't it? It's the shocking news that will make the news. It's like for every 1,000 you might get one, and that'll be the one that makes the news because they're the dodgy bastard.
Yes, and if you've ever seen, on Facebook, those paedophile hunter groups, right? Yeah. And they'll show those live streams, right? I guarantee you 99% of them, you're looking at them and going, where the fuck do these people live? Like, you're looking at them and they're just like, what the? Like, you can't imagine yourself, like, regardless of their background, their gender, or their ethnicity, or whatever, you look at them and you just go, wow, what the fuck is that? But
thank you.
One or two, no, you haven't been caught yet. But you are looking at them, and you just, it's so weird. Looking at people living their life, and unfortunately, one or two of them also happen to be trans, right? Other than the fact that their main quality is that they're just a fucking nutter. And they get projected by this online culture war that we've had over the last 5-10 years, and they get spread about. And unfortunately, that then sort of creates a little bit of a sort of, a little bit of fear. And I can't say, I can't be like, women, don't be afraid. Like, that would be weird, wouldn't it? But I would just argue people to kind of, look a bit broader. I think it's obvious that when you look at these fucking horrendous people, they're just horrendous people.
That's it. It doesn't matter what operations you have, you're still a cunt. That's thing.
And the thing is, there's no one sharing the normal ones about, like, not the normal ones, but like the ones that don't hit other political motives and agendas. The people that are sharing them are trying to put across a certain message. Don't be a sucker and buy into it. It is kind of the point.
So I would do on that point then about like women and women's spaces. Is the term trans woman the correct term? Because I know that there are people fighting for division between not just male and female, but all the spectrum in between.
It's a weird one, right? Because I would always define myself as a trans woman. Like, at the end of the day, my biology dictates that I am not the same as a genetic woman. However, some people see the word woman not as a genetic term, but as a gendered term. And I think if someone was using it in a gendered context to me and said, men turn left, women turn right, and this isn't into safe spaces, right? This is just one street that way, one street that way. I would assume that I would go into that right corner. Because every word now, for love or hate, has more than one meaning, and we are way past that point where woman is biological only. If we're talking about it in a or anything is really, but from a biological sense, transgender woman. But
I do notice that when I have this conversation with trans people, that is the overruling consensus. It's like, just, we don't really mind, just don't be cunts to us. It's like,
it's really funny. Like, dude, this is a lovely soundbite that I've definitely used before. Sorry, Badger, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You can always tell when someone is saying the most what you would call Edwardian Victorian, backward shit. But if they're meaning it from a really kind of like, I want to learn, and I'm trying to do the right thing, as opposed to someone that is, kind of using the right language, but in a certain manner,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's using your brain to decipher the differences, isn't it?
That's it. And so that genuinely is what I'd like to take away from this whole podcast is like, just try not to be so much of a cunt when you're talking to anybody. It doesn't matter whether they're male, female, trans, whatever. It's like, just fucking don't be a prick. And they don't be a prick back to you.
And we're also not on the hunt to cancel people. That's a good thing as well.
I tend to find it's not trans people that have an issue with things like that. It tends to be the people who want to appear virtuous and right. They tend to be more upset about things that don't matter than the actual trans community.
Yeah, I mean, I've been accused of being transphobic twice. That was the fun one. Once when I was a cross-dresser transvestite, but we kind of already knew that we were trans, really. But and then the other one was about 3 weeks ago by my little sister for making a trans paedophile joke.
What a way to end the podcast. We've got about 20 seconds left. Josh, is there anything you want to plug quickly?
We fucked up the Zoom timing, so this is a little extra tag to say my Nottingham comedy show, Ticking Boxes, is on the 11th of November, 7:30 p.m. At the Lord Roberts. Tickets are available for the Nottingham comedy website, but you got to scroll all the way to the bottom of it. And then also my socials, yes. Instagram, joshreynolds.comedy, Facebook, Josh Reynolds Comedy. There's loads of photos of my tits on there. So yeah, there we go. Thank you. Bye.
So that's an end of another Mr. Badger podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you have enjoyed it, please do share it with your friends and maybe give it a review or a like wherever you found it, whether that's on YouTube or one of the podcast services like, what was it, Spotty Nose or Apple Podcast. Anyway, wherever you found it, please do share it, like it, and review it. So we finally got a Discord room set up for anybody who's a fan of the podcast. You just want to go on there, have a chat, maybe leave some questions for Mr. Badger, or just talk to me. I'm quite lonely. So yeah, if you do want to find out, just go onto your local Discord. That's I think it's a website or an app, they call it nowadays. Discord, and search for Mr. Badger's Room for Utter Scum. I think my management team have put a link on my Facebook profile as well if you're on there. Anyway, hope to see you on there soon. We'll all have a good chat and all that. Bye-bye!